Hi! On this tutorial we are going to give the user the ability to upload an image or delete it. We will see also how to force the server to resize images if it is bigger than a specific limit. So let's go ahead and start. So let's open the account folder and go to the user profile.ascx and let's copy the markup for the upload image. So I will copy this div here and paste it directly beneath the last field here. So this is our last field and I will paste it here. And this is just a div element, has the class of form group, contains a label and a file upload server control. If you want to create it from the beginning, all we have to do is go here and click on file upload, double click it and give it an ID of upload profile picture. Okay, now the first step is to press the F7 key and go to the code behind page, and we are going to add something here to the public save changes, but since the lines of code will be too long, I prefer to put it in a separate procedure. And since this method is not gonna be invoked from outside the form, I choose to type protected instead of public. So I will type here sub save picture. Okay, and after the public save changes saves everything, I will type here save picture. Okay, what we should type on the save picture here? First of all, I'm gonna define the user. So if user ID is not nothing, so dim db as new application db context and dim my user. Okay, now I will type if upload profile picture dot has file in order to make sure first that the user has already selected a file, then dim file extension as string equal to path dot get extension upload profile picture dot file name. And please notice that in order to use a path function, I had to import something called the system IO, which refers to the system input output. So if you erase this one, you will get an error here. Okay, now let's type if file extension, because I want to check here if the selected file is an image or not, equals .jpg or file extension equals .gif or file extension equals .png. So those are only the three allowed file extensions. Okay, what will happen? I will start by uploading the file, but before I upload the file, I have to make sure to save it with a unique name that no file has been given the same name before. To ensure that, I will let the server do this step in my behalf. So how to do that? I will dim first something called new file name as string equals GUID dot new GUID dot toString plus the extension file extension. Okay, now let's type my user dot picture. Now I'm updating the database equals tilde images. So if you haven't created a folder called images, create it, and I will create a new folder inside the folder image called profile. Then I will add to it the new file name. Okay, so you have here to go to the folder image, otherwise you will get an error, and create a new folder called profile, and then db.savechanges, and then the last step will be to save the image inside the physical drive. Upload profile picture dot save as, and the save as also requires the import of the system input output. Save as what? So in order to change this URL into a server URL, I will type server dot map path. So I have to give him a physical path and type the URL inside. So Control C, Control V. Okay. So this step will save the picture into the physical drive inside the profile folder. Okay, now let's save all. Let's rebuild our project. And let's try out what we have just did. So let's refresh our form here. Okay, so let's click on choose file. And let's, for example, select the picture of my son here and click on open. And click on save changes. Saved successfully, but however we can't see the picture here. So our next step will be to make the picture visible here at the top of the form in case the user has a picture already. But let's check if the picture has been already saved or not by opening the images folder profile and right click open folder in File Explorer. Yes, the picture has been saved with a different name. Let's also check the database in order to see if the picture has been saved properly on the table or not. So this is Samir, and yes, this is his profile picture. It's saved with that name inside the images profile folder. Now let's go to the user profile page and add the markup of displaying the user's profile picture here at the top of the form. Okay, what I have just added here is an image with the ID image profile picture, and I have set the width to 100% and give it a dark border. Why did I add the 100% here to the style? In order for the picture not to occupy a huge size inside the page in case it is super high res picture. And on the read function here, I will type if my user dot picture is not nothing. So is not nothing will examine the database here if this field is set to null or not. So nothing means null. So if it is not nothing, then image profile picture dot image URL will be equal to my user dot picture. Okay, but else what will happen? This dev element, which is dev profile picture, which by the way runs inside the server, will be invisible. Okay, I think this makes sense. Now let's rebuild our project. Okay, let's refresh our page. Okay, bingo. Now if you right click and inspect this image, and if I wouldn't have typed the width equal 100%, what will happen? Since this picture is a high resolution image, it will occupy a huge space inside the page. However, don't forget that when you go to the users manager, we haven't set any limit to the image yet. So if you click here, you will see that this row is occupying almost 30% of the page height. So let's go to our users manager here inside the account folder. This is the users manager, and I will go here to the image. So this is our image here, and I will set the height to a fixed number in order to maintain a fixed height for all the table's rows. So 50 pixels I think will be enough. So let's save. Let's refresh our page here. Okay, now all the images has got the same height, but let's take into consideration the scenario when the user decides to change the picture here. So if I double click here and click on save changes, you will find that the profile picture will not update. So in order to solve this problem, we will add something here on the code behind page. Makes the page after save the picture invoke the read method. So this is the read method here. It will be invoked in order to read the profile picture. Now let's rebuild. Let's reload our page again. Now let's choose another file, maybe this one for example. Save it changes. Okay, the profile picture is now updating. But let's also open the profile folder to notice that every time you upload a new photo, the old one only gets deleted from the picture field of that particular user inside the database users table only, while maintains undeleted inside the physical drive. So let's first delete the old images before start fixing this issue. I will add something here to my code when save the picture. So at the beginning here I will type if my user dot picture is not nothing, so before any uploading, then what I should type, file dot delete server, because I have to delete from a physical drive, so I have to map the path my user dot picture. However, this code will raise an error in case this picture is referring to an external URL, for example the Facebook picture. So in order to avoid such a potential problem in the future, I will add here the try clause. So try to delete, and if you failed, nothing will happen. Okay, let's rebuild our project now. Now let's choose another picture, for example this one. Let's save the changes. Okay, now let's go to our folder here. The old image has been deleted. Let's do now another thing which ensures that if the user uploads a high-res image, this image will not be saved into the server with the same resolution. So we will set here a limit of, for example, 150 pixels in the width and 150 pixels on the height as the maximum limit of size. So how to resize the picture after the user click on save changes? In order to do that, I have placed here inside the models folder a folder called image toolkit, and inside this image toolkit there is two classes here, imaging and upload handler. If you want to use this plugin inside your future projects, I have already shared the entire projects folder inside the descriptions of that particular video below. So let's now take advantage of the imaging class. So after you save the picture here, I will type toolkit. So toolkit is the namespace of this plugin. .imaging .resize image. Which image? This image we have just added. So we have to refer to a physical path, then set the maximum width size in pixels and the maximum height size. And this doesn't necessarily mean that the image will be distorted to fit the size of a square with 150 pixels wide. For example, when you have an image of 300 pixels wide and 100 pixels height, the image will be resized to 150 pixels wide and 50 pixels height in order to maintain the same aspect ratio of the image. So let's rebuild our project. Okay, and let's go here and choose a file. I will choose this high resolution one. Before I choose it, I will first examine its width and height. So in the details here, the width is 671 and the height is 464. Remember those dimensions. Now if I select it and save the changes, okay, let's go to the folder here and let's see the properties. The properties here is 150 pixels for the width and 104 pixels for the height. So it's a very cool plugin here, which also has a lot of other useful functions like crop, rotate and mirror. Now let's do one last thing here on this project, which is to give the user the ability to delete the profile picture. So I will do that with the help of a link button. So if you go to the user profile here and under the image, I will add the following link button. So let's first see how I designed this link button. This link button has this style, which has the position set to absolute, top 0, left equal 25 pixels, and this is the width and the height. and the background is white, whereas the opacity is 0.7. So it's not fully opaque, it's transparent with a 30%. Inside this link button, there is a span, has a class FA remove, and this is its style. So let's go ahead now and save all, then refresh our browser. Okay, this is our link button. So let's go here to the code behind page and type what will happen if I click on the button delete picture. So in the click here, I will type, as usual, the first thing I have to do is to define my user. Okay, now let's type here file dot delete server dot map path my user dot picture, and don't forget to update the database. So my user dot picture equals, a lot of people will do something like that, will set it to blank. This is wrong. I will set it to nothing, because if you set it to blank, it will give you an empty field. It will give you an empty field like that. However, if you set it to nothing, it will give you a field has a null value, and this is very important in our code here, because don't forget that I put here on the read property, if my user.picture is not nothing, so it is not null, do the following. And if you set the value here to empty, this doesn't mean that the picture is null. It has a value which is empty. So it's very important to set my user.picture to nothing, and then db.save changes, and don't forget to hide the div which contains the picture. Okay, but let's first, before we test this code, let's add a confirmation message when the user click on the delete button. So I will type on client click, and usually on client click will be followed with a JavaScript code. So if confirm quotation R, you sure you want to delete the picture, quotation again, question mark, quotation. So if this confirm equals false, then return false, semicolon, and that's all. Okay, so if the user click on cancel, it will return false, which means that the code behind page will not proceed. So let's save all. Let's rebuild our project. Okay, now let's try to delete this file. It will give you a confirmation message. If you click on OK now, it will give you an error here. For some reason, the user profile control doesn't remember by now the user ID of that control. I don't know what is the reason behind this, but as a workaround for such a problem, I will save the user ID inside a hidden field. So I will add here for the toolbox a hidden field, and I will type here hidden user ID, and inside the read method I will type here hidden user ID dot value equals my user dot user ID. Okay, or just type user ID, by the way. This is a property here. So hidden user ID dot value equals the user ID, and I will get the m.id here from the hidden field. But you couldn't type here hidden user ID dot value. It will give you a runtime error, because link language will not recognize what is the hidden user ID dot value. So you have to first dim, for example, ID as string equals hidden user ID dot value. Okay, and type here ID. So let's save all, rebuild. Okay, let's refresh our page now. Now let's click on the delete button, click on OK. Okay, now let's see if the profile now is empty or not. So open file in File Explorer, now it's empty. Okay, let's instead choose another file to upload. Let's this time select this one and click on Save Changes. Now the image will not appear here. Why? Because the div element which holds this image is currently invisible. Don't forget that here I have set the value of the visibility to false. So in order to solve this problem on the read method here, I will type when the picture is not nothing, set the visibility for this div to true. Now let's rebuild our project. Let's delete this image. Let's choose another image. Okay, now it's working properly. In a future lesson outside the context of that series, I will show you how to upload multiple images asynchronously using the AJAX techniques. Also how to crop each individual image among the uploaded images. Again, you can download the full code for that project from the descriptions below the video. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press like.